Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II, World at War with our Allied playthrough. In the last episode, we crossed into April 24th and we took on the Battle of the Pacific and used most of the USA's MPPs. After thinking about it since the last episode, I think I will spend a little bit of this remaining 136. I'm going to spend it on the second corps here, give them some mobility. Because, like I was saying, I think I'm going to start making mobility a standard for pretty much anything that I plan on deploying. And if any of this stuff down here is going to get deployed anytime remotely soon, it's going to be the second corps up to an island, since I'm going to use the front line of islands. I'm going to use them as a base for corps and air units as opposed to garrisons, due to the increased combat capability and the fact that they could become repurposed as offensive units without having the extra costs incurred that armies have. Last turn is also when Spain joined the war. They actually sailed a ship up here to attack us, and then they must have sailed it away a little bit. I don't know, I'm gonna go looking for it real quick. I think it got back to port, because I don't see it. Yeah, it's probably in port somewhere over here. Unfortunate that it got away. They also have the 3rd Spanish Corps moving up to the Gibraltar garrison, which I have with infantry weapons level 2, and Gibraltar's also a fortified town with level 4 entrenchment, so I'm hoping if I just leave this garrison here, they will never be able to break through. I think they can only attack from like 2 locations, and one of them is across a river. I'm hoping this garrison will just outlast them forever, because I have no feasible way to jump anybody over there, especially with having lost the French partisan up here by Brest. That makes the front line a little trickier here, and I'm not ready nor wanting to take on the German Air Force and their still kind of superior units in readiness, morale, and other things like that until I get a lot more capability over there. And the UK, as we know, is spread thin with most of its efforts going down here in Greece. Now, before we get started on the big stuff with the UK, I wanted to go to Malaya. Malaya is under a lot of constant bombardment and naval attention, which makes me believe that the Japanese are scripted to attack here. They're probably a little confused by the lack of Thailand joining and the fact that they don't own Indochina. But because I expect this to be a sign of things to come, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade every single corps here with infantry weapons level 2. So hopefully they'll be able to survive longer. Supply here is such dog shit that they're already in a bad position because they have like no readiness, no morale, because there's no HQ over here for them. And that's something where a Chinese unit could probably come in handy, to be honest. Like Stilwell. You could send Stilwell over here, assuming you can land at a cooperative port with a non-cooperative unit. Because we can't get through Thailand unless we declare war on it. And I just kept it out of the war. I'd like to keep it out of the war. Sailing past here is not exactly the smartest idea in the world. And since it's hard enough for me to get down here, it's also similarly hard for them to invade, especially if the units are this upgraded, especially also with this coastal gun here. They wouldn't be able to land, say, I think right here. They'd have to go further up, and they'd need to bring a lot of troops to actually make this work, I think. Now that I have all these upgrades, they're not going to navally land with tanks or anything like that. Now let's go over to our best buddy over here, the Greek front. Now, since this is turning into the main front that the UK is fighting, I've decided that O'Connor, while he served me well in Libya, it's time to replace him. Because if this is going to be my main front against the Germans, I want Montgomery here. The increased rating could be very, very handy. It's very, very expensive to put Montgomery here, but realistically, if we look at all the other HQs, even if I replace Lord Gort, there's still 2 more HQs that are not 6s. And so whereas O'Connor might be back later into the war, I do believe the 105 MPPs right now to replace him and get Montgomery where he's desperately needed on this front is probably for the better. So I will go ahead and get Montgomery on this front here. For right now, I'm going to leave Lord Gort over here, even though he's not very good. He's just holding. It's not an offensive push. He's just holding, so it shouldn't matter that much. But Montgomery should start making a large difference over here. now that we're getting ready to be able to turn this into an offensive instead of a defensive. Now the first thing I'm going to do over by Greece is we're going to take the Special Forces of Rhodesia, and we're actually going to move them down south to this town, because we're trying to get them off the front so that I can make room for the WDF army, which has its infantry weapon upgrades and is full strength, to be able to move up. I'm going to strike yet again the Albanian Corps. Oh, this time we actually did damage. This panzer is entrenching, and its attacks aren't going very well. I think it attacked across a river last turn, which is stupid of it. We're going to focus on the weak link, the Italians in the rear, yet again, which allows us to do even more damage. I'll start by attacking with the Athens Corps from Greece here, since it has a actual prepared attack, as the manual refers to it, and not a blitz attack. And then I'm going to swap it yet again, lowering the entrenchments here, bringing the second corps back forward. Ooh, and then the odds get a little bit worse. Alright, we'll send the WDF to attack next. Only 1 damage dealt, very sad, but no damage taken, which is good enough for me. Let's go ahead and attack. No damage dealt or taken. Alright, not the best. I wish I could replace this Greek HQ general. He only has a rating of 4, and he's hardly supporting anyone. However, I cannot do that. The Greeks don't have any more generals, which is unfortunate. Since the Epirus army here has acquired the attention of the enemy panzer tanks, which I don't know why. Literally any other target would have been better. I'm going to go ahead and just reinforce that back up to strength. No offensives with it right now. The first corps is holding in its positions. Its morale is steadily starting to lower as it comes under continued attack, but it's good enough to maintain its position right now. The entrenchments are still limited. I hope to be able to get the Macedonian army back up there. We're going to get them up to strength again. And yeah, I hope to get them back up there. We can kind of like do like a multi-swap, you know, like swap up, and then they'd be in position. Although that would hurt the entrenchments here a little bit, probably down to 2. So if I could just like move out and then move back in, since it would put me back at 2 anyway, due to the emplacements facing north, that would be ideal. Either way, we want to get an army that has actual upgrades up there. Would be the best situation. We have to keep cycling here, otherwise they will overwhelm it. They just will overwhelm this front line. Look at the odds against this tank. This is why I'm not attacking the tank, in case you're curious. Even with an infantry weapon level 2 against this tank that's injured, we don't stand a fucking chance in the world on the offense. So I'm not bothering, and I'm not bombing, because we only have the 1 fighter here. It's not even attached to an HQ. We don't have enough HQ power here for that, I guess. So we're not going to deal with that, which makes me wonder and think, do you guys, probably not, say, do you guys have any other generals? But yeah, I guess it wouldn't. 4 more HQs as the UK. You could never use all the generals, could you? But thinking about it, the generals probably die with their HQs. So maybe you could. Makes me realize the general that died in the Philippines probably died. So there's me again, just wasting stuff like crazy. One thing I want to do before I forget is come down to Port Moresby here and upgrade the Kanga Special Forces with infantry weapons level 2, anti-air defense, and mobility. Because you're going to need all 3 of these things on this island if you actually wish to operate here. We'd ideally need an HQ as well, but yeah, this is just such a good offensive unit. It could also be used in any island hopping campaigns to replace. And I just want to make sure it's up to strength while we have it here. I cannot upgrade the second corps just because there's no supply. There's not enough here. They'd have to move into Port Moresby, which I might have them do once the rest of this is upgraded. I might also end up sending MacArthur up to Papua New Guinea, but we'll see about that. We have 3086 MPPs remaining. Let's take the Aylwin Destroyer and just move it back into this disruption location. Prioritize that. Let's reinforce the Vendetta Destroyer up to 8 strength, the best it can really get right now over there by itself. Now let's see if we can unify the Australian and New Zealand fleet together. So we'll go put the Perth Light Cruiser out here, and yep, looks like we are going to be able to make the trip. Alright, very good, very good. Let's go ahead and take the Leander Light Cruiser from New Zealand, send it up towards Perth as well. I'm going to march the Canberra Heavy Cruiser out from Perth. We'll take the Australia Heavy Cruiser and send that up into the docks of Perth. And then Destroyer aside, that's everything that spawns at Australia, New Zealand in terms of ships. Yeah, Destroyer is going to stay down here because there's enemy submarine activity. But as of next turn, I'll be able to sail this little fleet in unison, going northwest, maybe taking the long way, up towards India. Well, they'll be able to repair once I get the ability to allocate points to that. We still really don't have enough points to manage every single front, but as you can see by my upgrading of the Australians down here, I am getting a little more leeway with how to do things, as also by putting Montgomery in Greece. I'm really hoping that this makes a huge difference. We did also get the 10th Army from Jerusalem into Greece, so we're going to go ahead and reinforce that up to strength. That's a very expensive thing, but a whole nother army over here in Greece would be very helpful on the front, especially already coming with mobility upgrades. We also want to start moving, probably. Well, there's a lot of other things. So the South African and Sudanese, like, they have their own stuff. They've been stuck here, not going anywhere, because I just haven't had the points to realistically give them the reinforcements and upgrades they need. I've been really inefficient about Ethiopia. The Indians did not need to be here. This was a little excessive, and the Indians could have just been way more useful elsewhere. And the Sudanese and South Africans probably could have just handled it all by themselves. At the very least, we'll take the first heavy artillery. We'll march that into Massawa. That can go into Massawa. I want to use my MPPs elsewhere. I don't want to deal with it in Africa right now. At least, well, not for the Brits. The Indians are another story. The Indians have 165 MPPs, and they should be prioritizing their own troops a little bit. So I'm going to reinforce the BAI army back up to its maximum potential. We'll take the Gurkha Special Forces and start moving that north. All the Indians will definitely be able to get out of here since they're using their own MPPs. And as India, looks like we did finish a research, maybe more than one. I don't know if I've been maxing this out or not. I probably haven't, but we did finish industrial tech at some point, probably very recently, which is going to allow us to produce more MPPs, to use more MPPs, and to send more MPPs to the British. I'll take care of India right now. We'll just go ahead and we will research more industrial technology, focus that down, rather than sending out their troops. We don't have a troop shortage anywhere that troops from this region can reach, realistically. What we have is a shortage of troops elsewhere, a shortage of reinforcing our navy and getting certain upgrades with the UK. India is just going to go help out in Greece, because if I can push through this front line, it's going to open widely, and having Indians over there, especially when they get their HQ, could be rather nice. Now, I think they can have a couple HQs. They have some really good leaders. I'd be surprised, historically, if these are actual Indians. These are probably deployed Brits in India. It's funny, because they have levels up to Montgomery. I wonder if these are the only two, or, like, I wonder who's assigned to the HQ we're going to be receiving. I'm curious. I don't know. Now, there's also the Atlantic to worry about. We know of a lot of enemy activity out here, although I don't know where exactly the enemy submarine that was here went. So we're just going to sail with this destroyer just down the line to make sure he's not here. Okay, cool. Now let's sail up the line with this one. Make sure he's not here. Okay, well, if he's not here, then the line is in no immediate threat. So we can kind of just keep all the destroyers in the region as best as possible. It's not going to be the most even spacing in the world, but somewhere where they can react to things. I'm going to send the Javelin Destroyer north safely, because it will be able to reinforce itself soon. The Bulldog Destroyer is ready to go again, and I don't think the Spanish have any subs we have to worry about. Even if they do, it's not going to be anything of massive importance or anything. With the subs here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to go back to Bordeaux and start blockading this again. Because if I can lower the supply at Bordeaux enough, which I don't know if this will happen just by the port, probably not. But if I can lower it, it would help, because I know you need a certain amount of supply to even operate. And they can't go through Vichy because Vichy's not in the Axis. And I don't know if they're going to do Case Anton. We're getting closer and closer towards November where they would. So we have the Montgomery Destroyer and the Bulldog Destroyer that can head down. Let's see here. We want to stay away from the coast. We want to definitely not agitate the enemies. Okay, we can actually go ahead. We'll move the Jersey Destroyer down south a touch. So we can move the Amazon Destroyer down south a touch. And then we can move the Bulldog, well, let's say down to where this group is, as well as the Montgomery. Close enough to respond to anything. Carriers in air would annihilate any enemies that tried anything in this region anyway, so I'm not that concerned about up here. We did get the Illustrious Carrier back up to strength. We need to get the other ones back up to strength. We have 292 MVPs remaining. Let's see. I definitely do want to get some more research rolling as the UK, and looking at what would help me the most and the soonest, probably command and control. Because I don't have a troop shortage on Greece, which is my main front with the UK in my opinion. But I do have a problem of HQs not being able to control enough or not having enough HQs to begin with. Command and control would help with that. So let's go ahead and research that. That leaves us with 167 remaining. That could also go into research or it could go into something else. Yeah, looking at America, the dude that died, the HQ in the Philippines, he's perma-gone. His name's not on here anymore. He wasn't a very good HQ. We have a lot of really good ones, so we don't have to worry. Patton, Eisenhower, and all these 7s. He was like somewhere between a 4 and a 6. I don't exactly remember. So not too much is lost. We can't even have enough HQs to really experience a problem unless they start dying. So I'm not too concerned about the loss, but another hard-learned lesson about how the mechanics of this works. You could run out of generals, I think, with HQs. With the UK's remaining 167 MPPs, I want to focus getting the aircraft on the carriers back up to strength. They've been lowered for a long time. I was going to say out of commission, but they weren't really out of commission. They were just weakened for a while here. That brings me down to 107 MPPs. With the Germans advancing over here, I don't want to make things particularly easy for them. Most of the supply they're getting here, I can see their supply is coming from Saint Nazaire, unfortunately. However, I can go ahead and resume bombing operations in the region, at least a little bit. Looks like we can get an elite reinforcement on the Strat Bomber. Whether that's smart or not, I don't know. I think I will go ahead and get it, and then we just won't use that for anything right now. We can also do the same with the TAC Bomber. Okay, you know what? Fair. I'll go give that to the TAC Bomber as well. And then we should have more than enough fighter coverage in this region to cover everything. I think I want to move the number 12 fighters up. I'm not entirely sure where I want to move them up to. The TAC bombers need to be the closest for their range. Okay, I can maybe get it so that this fighter provides cover over Brest a little bit. Yeah. So if I move this fighter, maybe we can do it at Plymouth? Okay, yeah, Plymouth works. So from Plymouth, I can provide fighter cover over all these units, including the Canadians, which would just be quite a bit helpful. There is still one more carrier up here, needing its reinforcements. And then the Illustrious can go ahead and get long-range aircraft. That brings us down to 12 MPPs. Well, I'm sure there's something we can do with that. I think that's a fair enough chunk to say that we've completed the UK and India's turn. I guess I'll go ahead and start moving the South Africans up, because eventually, like, none of these troops are going to need to be down here. They're going to need to go somewhere, and that somewhere should be reached via a port. So I will take the Smuts HQ, move it down the road, and following it, but not going all the way up to the, the port yet. We're going to have the cores following. They have mobility, so they can get much further. I'm just going to keep them nearby so they have supply, because they need to get upgrades and stuff as well. I guess technically I can have the Sudanese force moving as well. We'll move the HQ up to Gondar. The BAI army is probably going to have some low supply, but it's okay. It just needs to get out of here. It doesn't need to do much else. Sudan Defense Force Corps can follow it for now. It does need to reinforce. I'm not in a big rush to start pouring points into these units. These HQs could be nice on the front. The thing is, I still don't understand why, for example, the HQs are only helping South Africans, only helping the Sudanese, because this is a rating 7, dude. I don't know what's his limitation here. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because, no, I didn't see them supporting the South Africans either. So I feel like they're very particular in some cases. I don't know why some can support others and others can't. I haven't discovered that quite yet. So I'm not too feeling like I need to get these HQs up to Greece, because I don't think they'll support anyone other than their own units, and Greece is clogged up enough as it is. the Indians can provide more troops overall. So if I get anyone over there first, I'd want it to be the Indians. Plus, the Indians will operate on their own dime. Now we can look at China. So with China, we can finish taking Indochina. And just like that, Indochina's taken. We'll move this corps back to Saigon, where it can chill out and just recover and be nice and fine and cool. This army does not need to stay here. The 2 corps that we're going to have here, one on Hanoi and one on Saigon, will be more than enough, with the HQ hopefully spreading supply towards them. Well, it's not going to be able to reach both of them, unfortunately. Yeah, so what we can hope for, I guess, the supply at Hanoi is going to be great. This is actually a secondary supply location. Hopefully the supply will actually be decent, because I don't want to move an HQ into range of the enemy fire. I don't know, I'll figure that out momentarily. To start, we'll go ahead, we're going to actually upgrade the 2nd Heavy Artillery here. Hopefully this might end up helping it in the long run. It should get 2 shells a turn, I believe. Maybe. I'm not sure if that's how that works. We're going to go ahead and still just attack with the 68th Army here against Haikou. Losing 1, unfortunately. And so we'll move that back. We'll move forward the 1st Army and we'll attack with that as well. Dealing another 2 damage, taking a damage. Always what I want to avoid, but the more damage we're doing to the Japs, the better, no matter what the cost is. 1 more turn until the ports are good enough that we can start sailing new units out towards Taiwan. We do have the 5th Corps that's going to move forward and finish securing Okinawa. We'll just stay at Higuchi for now, since we can't make it all the way back to Naha. Since there's only 1 port to get here, we don't necessarily need any additional corps here, but it wouldn't be bad to actually get another corps here. 2 corps and anti-air on these islands would be great. Unfortunately, the Chinese can only have 2 anti-airs, so it's quite a decision of if I want to actually allocate stuff like that or not. Looks like I did actually send the first anti-air down here, so I was probably planning on sending it one way or another. I don't remember coming to that conclusion, but the evidence is where I placed the units, right? Let's upgrade this corps near Pusan with some anti-air defenses. That should be good. Keeping corps here in Pusan to keep it defended. Now, we are pushing up into a little bit of a bottleneck, which we actually, never mind. We can't even push up here. It's too much. With the zone of control and the mud and our lack of mobility, we actually can't even get up to Yankee here. Yankee has very lowering supply. I went from like 5 to 3 in 1 turn. Probably because it's cut off from most everything else. Its entrenchment still very, very high. It's not something we really want to mess around with. I'm in no rush to take it. In no rush. We can deal with everything else first. And the enemies up here are getting a little aggressive towards us, quite honestly. I will go ahead and take this corps and attack the enemy corps that's been running away from us. Finally finishing that bitch off, getting another nice little national morale bonus. I will probably want to move this corps out of the way towards a better source of supply. The 2nd Corps, do we have any armies that are full strength? No, we do not. The 2nd Corps is probably going to move forward. These tanks are in the way, though. We can move the tanks. We could just move them up the road here, although that wouldn't accomplish very much. We need the tanks to be able to recover. Okay, we'll send the 54th Army up the south end here. How are your supplies? They are decent enough. And you are attached to one of the HQs. It's a shame I can't do this manually. Well, maybe I can. Oh, wait, what? Can I? Oh my god, I could have done this manually the entire time? Don't get me wrong, this is a lot more work, but this is huge. So what if I set you to manual, sir? Why are you guys not attached? What if I attach you? There's a very limited amount of things that this can attach. And that might be all of them, quite frankly. How the hell? Okay, wait, I gotta get you on manual as well, I think, to really do this. Okay, so I want this plane attached. Dude, I could have done this the whole fucking time. Are you fucking kidding me? I think he's full. I think he's full. But let's see. Cancel attachment to there. Can I not reach this? I think I can't reach this because it's not letting me attach to these ones. Okay, I'm a little confused on how this works. Cancel. Cancel. I can't cancel. What the fuck? I am so confused. Cancel. What the hell? Well, I can set it on manual, but I can't figure out how the fuck to make it work. So I think I'll just set it on auto, because I don't know how to make this work. But okay, it did keep these Air Force fighters attached. Hopefully it continues to do that. Yeah, I just discovered something so cool and new to me, yet I have no idea how to make it work. Which is a big unfortunate. Alright, we'll send the third corps forward up here instead across the river. The tanks will actually move back so they can replenish. The second corps will move up towards the river as well. One of these HQs, probably Zoo HQ, is going to go step on Harbin. We'll take this corps and go secure this village with it so that we can go ahead and reinforce these two armies here and then eventually get them upgraded. Supply by Yankee is about to improve in a major way, so I will take the L Corps and move them a little further down the road because that's going to connect to Harbin now. And I'll start moving the Dare to Die Special Forces towards Yankee from where the L Corps just were. Now, again, these corps have a much harder problem to figure out here. I guess I can move one of them back. Go ahead and move you forward. I'll move one of... Wait, this is an army, actually. Okay. Well, then I'll move the corps back and just have the two armies up here for the time being. I'm not going to go after this corps just yet. I'm going to move the first heavy artillery up behind, which this could use some upgrades as well, but I want it here so it can provide defensive fire primarily right now, as opposed to anything else. Upgrading it would also be really, really smart. And we have all the time in the world right now. We've already liberated Manchukuo. We're just finishing off the remnants surrounding them. There's not much left. There's nothing we can do in terms of transporting any of our units because whereas we do have the ability to amphibiously transport, where the hell are we gonna go? The only place that's a short distance that a regular amphibious transport could realistically make without running into a massive fleet is the mainland of Japan. And I don't think that's very smart right now. At least not until we can get China to have more amphibious warfare, because we'll need to land way more than one unit at a time. We'll need to send an HQ with them. It's going to be a very complex affair, and using short-range amphibious transports isn't going to be the best. Like, it would be okay for sending corps and stuff, maybe armies even, from around Busan for the short trip towards Hiroshima or something. We would also ideally need some long range as well to support an HQ heading over there and other things from other ports. Nothing that we have access to right now, though amphibious warfare research is making it. It's at 80%. We did finish researching logistics, so we do have access to a second regular transport. I will go ahead and upgrade that, because we're going to start wanting as many transports as possible, and more ability to operationally move. There's a lot of things we want, although we have to be very picky as China, because we've once again maxed out our research. Since I have so much MPPs as China remaining, also, are you still on? Okay, I have to take you off manual. I will replace the Feng HQ with someone better. Now, there's very few 6s before we get to 5s anyway, but I don't think I'm going to be buying a fuck ton of HQs. How many HQs? I can only even buy one more, so we can make everyone level 6. So I will replace Feng here with Sun, 90 MPPs, just to really optimize. Stillwell is rating 5, so there's like no reason to even have him, but maybe we'll just keep him for the time being. We're going to move him towards Kuilin. And then down here we have Chen, who we will replace with Li. Feng has been put away. Let's see. And now Chen has been put away. So I imagine Stillwell would be put away as well. I might honestly do that, because this isn't an American unit. It doesn't have to be Stillwell. It could be someone better. We have just enough 6s to make up the HQs that we can actually build and have. So I might just kick Stillwell out and say, hey, thanks for the stuff, but you gotta go. Since we are in no rush with anyone or anything, I'm gonna force march the 6th Army up towards the Zoo HQ, just to start getting it out of here while saving money on the operating costs. The garrison at Hanoi can go somewhere else. I'll probably operate this one. Yeah, 5 MPPs. We'll send that up to, let's say, Peking. That's close enough to a port. Corps will eventually line all the really important places. Garrisons, if I just can't make enough corps. But if we're going to have a lot of anything, it's corps. Corps and armies. Armies will actually probably stay on the mainland until it comes time for Japan proper, or if we decide to liberate the Philippines with China when the time comes. We have 130 MPPs remaining, and there's not much else I can do with it. We can't afford any corps or any new units with 130 MPPs. We can, however, take the first corps here, go march that to Hanoi, where it will garrison it for right now due to our lack of ability to purchase any more garrisons at all. In that case, nice. I believe we've finished up our turns as the UK, India, and China all in one episode. I'll of course make sure to scan to make sure I didn't miss anything, as the UK is they're usually the ones I miss things with because it's so goddamn easy to miss things. And so next episode we will be able to take on the USSR and a very important front which is seeing a lot of success. But for now, that's all for today. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.